Hi, and welcome to the Arts District podcast for episode 18. I'm Lauren.
And I'm Georgia, and we are reunited at last.
Finally.
Yes.
It's only been like 3 weeks. I can't believe it's been 3 weeks. It feels like it went by fast.
It feels like more, but also it went by really fast.
Yeah. It's December 6th, so Christmas is in less than 20 days. Isn't that insane? And so we've got 2 more podcasts until Christmas. We're going to try and make that second one exciting.
Yeah, festive.
Festive, that's a good word. But I'm looking forward to today's episode. I am really excited for the musical guest, or not really guest, but like...
Feature?
The musical feature, yeah, that I'm going to be talking about. And so I've got that and just a little thing going on around Hamilton.
And I checked out a couple articles. I've got something about free online content and art and protest. So that's what I'm going to be talking about.
Cool. Maybe I'll just start by saying I watched 1 episode of Sonic Highways, finally. I've been meaning to watch more, but at least I've watched 1 and I've started. And it was really cool. It was the one where they're in Chicago.
Oh,
and
nice.
Super interesting way of doing the show. I thought it was going to be more of a focus on them in the studio recording a song. But it's actually, the majority of the show is about the city that they're in. At least this one was. And the history of music in that area. And very, not a lot of the show is actually about them in the studio. Like, there's clips and, they definitely show it, but less of a focus on that than I thought there was going to be. But it was cool. I learned a lot watching it, and I love when that happens, when you can learn something from a TV show. So, really happy with that. Have you been able to watch any of it?
I haven't. I was going to ask you if you had watched it
Yeah,
yet. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, especially if it's going to have that sort of like travel info.
Yeah, I know, because there's like travel shows are the best.
They are.
I'm pretty sure I read something this morning that said that they just finished either last night or the night before. They were in New York City, and that was like episode 8 or whatever of their little series. So,
And is that it?
I think so.
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, because for some reason the number 8 is sticking out in my head. Yeah, and I also finished my Mick Fleetwood book, which was really good. So if you are still shopping for Christmas and you know somebody who likes to read music biographies, go grab that Mick Fleetwood book because it was so good.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely loved reading it. And yeah, so moving on to today's stuff.
Well, 1 second.
Okay.
I want to update on my books as well. I finished Amy Poehler's Yes Please and Lena Dunham's book.
You're a fast reader. I guess it has been like 3 weeks since I saw you. 3 or 4.
I can't even remember when I talked about those. It feels like so long
It was
ago.
in the first one.
The first one that we were apart.
Yeah.
Huh.
That we were apart.
Anyway, Amy Poehler's book, really, really good. I think it's worth reading, though the first half of the last chapter is really good, and I wish she ended it there, but it just kind of continues a bit, and I was like, eh.
Yeah.
So, you've been warned, but the book as a whole is like really good. And Lena Dunham's book is awesome as well. So.
I was in the mood for a Christmas movie the other night, and so I was going to go for a classic, like a Christmas Story or Christmas Vacation, and then it was on Netflix. They had one called Happy Christmas with Lena Dunham and Anna Kendrick.
Oh, I saw that too.
And I was like, sure, I'll watch it. I've never seen it before. I thought it was going to be way more festive. It was like kind of, like I didn't know what to expect or what to think about it when it finished, but it was funny.
It was good, but yeah, it was kind of in the vein of like 20-something, get your shit together.
Yeah, kind of depressing holidays stuff, but quirky.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah, so that was like the only thing I watched with Lena Dunham in it, because I don't watch Girls.
Oh yeah. When I was reading her book, I got caught up on Girls.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I have a hard time with it. I like it, but then a few episodes in, I usually get super annoyed by the characters, and I just can't.
Yeah.
But I like her as a person. She's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, so, I'm just going to mention briefly this one thing I wanted to talk about. CBC Hamilton just did this little thing and they put it online. It's called Sounds of the Season. Hamilton rates the best and worst Christmas music. And they had a couple guests on there. I think there was 5 of them. There might have been 6. And just like local people around Hamilton, they had Max Kerriman, who's a singer of the Arkells, and Tara Lightfoot, who's in a band called the Dinner Bells, and she's also just kind of a well-known singer-songwriter from Hamilton, but I feel like she lives in Toronto now. And then some other notable people from the city. They came into the CBC Hamilton headquarters, and they were given like a blind listen of some classic Christmas songs. Well, classics and non-classics. They threw in some like Justin Bieber Christmas song was in there. And yeah, it's just really funny to hear, because they just wanted to hear their reaction to these songs and what they thought about them. And yeah, it was just funny. There was one Bob Dylan one where Max Kerriman refers to him as like curmudgeonly, and I was like, who actually uses the word curmudgeon like in a serious context? But yeah, it was funny. It was really cute. And yeah, it's all for a good cause. It's to support this fundraiser that the CBC does. It's the Sounds of the Season food drive. It's an annual one they do now. It's actually on right now. They're collecting food donations at the CBC Hamilton office, which is at 118 James Street North, and they're going to be collecting until December 31st, so you have until New Year's Eve if you want to drop off some food and support a good cause. But yeah, I will include the link here. It's just something I want to throw in that's kind of festive as we approach Christmas, and yeah, it's a short little video, but it's fun, so check it out. And that's that.
Cool.
Yeah.
That reminds me, it just makes me think, there are so many Christmas songs. Like, it's unreal. Like, the number that you probably wouldn't recognize, because they're just...
Yeah. Well, there's a lot, but there's also, like, a lot of covers.
Oh, true.
So, like, you can hear, like, the same Christmas song maybe, like, 5 times in a row on a radio station, and you won't really think that
it's different versions.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then there are also, like, these other songs that people have written for Christmas that aren't, like, classic carols.
I've tried to write Christmas songs. It's, like, the hardest thing, because you don't want to be too cheesy, but you want to be sentimental, and you want it to be, memorable, and
right.
I don't know. My favorite, I really like, I like White Christmas, but, friggin', I can't remember the name of the other one. Starts with an S, I think. Not Sleigh Bells. Oh, yeah, Sleigh Bells.
Yeah. Instrumental?
Sleigh bells ringing, are you listening?
Oh, that one.
Walkman Went to Wonderland.
That's
Wait.
it.
Yeah.
Sleigh Bells is an all-instrumental one.
Is it?
Yeah. It's the shopping music in Elf, and he's, like, in the store.
Wow.
We used to play it in band. Do you remember? Like, and it had the wood blocks that slapped together.
No, I don't remember that.
No? Oh.
I kind of miss being in the orchestra around this, like, holidays.
Because the Christmas music was always really easy.
And everyone was really good at playing it because we all knew it so well.
Yeah, exactly. It was fun. It was probably really frustrating to conduct because we probably played it as we knew it as opposed to what was actually on the stage. But, yeah, I do have fond memories of that.
Georgia and I were both in the Aurelia Youth Symphony Orchestra. She played French horn, and I played bassoon.
We were clearly very cool teenagers.
I loved it. Yeah. I loved being in the orchestra. I think it was a great way to spend part of our youth. Although we were like 17 when we were in it.
Yeah. We joined and like instantly became the oldest members.
We were well liked though.
Yeah. And I think we both became, like, the head of our sections, like, I don't know. Yeah. Fun times.
Fun times.
Fun music nerdy times.
A little trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
And look where we are today.
Podcasting from my weird apartment.
Well, yes. Some things just don't change. Alright, so what have you got?
Yes, so I want to talk about this article from The Atlantic. It was titled, "Next Year, 1 billion works will be free to use online." So it's talking about the State of the Commons report from November that just passed, released by Creative Commons. Creative Commons is a non-for-profit organization that was founded in 2001, and their goal is just to expand the number of creative works available for others to build on online legally. So instead of like something being copywritten where it's for personal use only and you own all the rights to it, Creative Commons has these licenses. Creators can post that this is within Creative Commons, get this free license, and then they can say what rights they reserve and what rights they waive. So someone else can come along, like see an image online and be like, oh cool, I would like to build on top of that, and they can look at the Creative Commons license and say, this person retains the right to any profits gained from this image, but you're allowed to use it and add on to it or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, yeah, it just sort of like helps the relationship and makes it easier for the creator and the licensee to work together because there's no negotiation involved. It's just, this is my Creative Commons license, this is what I still get the rights to, and this is what you can do with what I've created.
Right, yeah, it's good that they're putting that out there, because how many images are out there now that people just take without knowing what's attached to them, and then it bites them in the butt later when that person finds out about it, and creates issues. So that'll be a new thing, or there's already some up online?
This has been around for like over 10 years, but they don't actually keep track of how many Creative Commons licenses they put out, so they just do a study every few years, and they conduct the study by getting in touch with sites that use Creative Commons licenses, like Flickr, Wikipedia stuff is all Creative Commons.
Shutterstock?
I'm not sure, they didn't mention that one in the article, but it might be. So there are lots of websites where people post creative content, and then it uses Creative Commons licensing. So Creative Commons, this non-for-profit, gets information from those websites, and then also from Google. They have Google search, because there should be a license attached to all the content that has a Creative Commons license. So Google tries to like find all of the licenses. And November this year, they came to the number of 882 million Creative Commons licenses.
Wow.
From the past like 12, 13 years. And they estimate that by 2015, there will be 1 billion, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have like loops, like audio samples that people can take and use to put in their stuff.
Probably.
I think they must, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Seems like a given.
I'm sure you can just like search Creative Commons music loops and stuff.
Yeah. That's interesting, like about the whole thing with copyrights and stuff. I Googled something yesterday for my job. I was looking for a song online, and for the first time I'd ever seen it on Google, it was like one of the results from your search isn't showing up due to a copyright infringement thing. One of the site got reported. It's like, if you want, you can click on to this link and it'll show you why it was removed from Google. So I clicked on it just because out of curiosity, and it listed like all these piracy sites that had been flagged basically for removal. And I was like, whoa, like I think it was a European site. It was like a .co.uk or something. And I know that over there they're really big on like anti-piracy and protecting copyright and fighting it basically. So it made me wonder if that was one of those steps to, get rid of piracy. But it was the first one I'd seen, so I was kind of intrigued. Anyways. Yeah. It's just kind of a random tangent.
Yeah. And this is kind of a random article, but I think it's neat for people to be able to put stuff online that's sort of more fair use, like free, fair use stuff, and almost encourages working together to create new things. Collaboration, that's the word I was looking for. So, yeah.
It's definitely, sparks something for creators, too. Like, if you're stuck on an idea, it can kind of fuel you to work on somebody else's idea, you know? So, that's really neat. I'm going to have to check that out.
I think a lot of it is images, but I think it can also work for like snippets of code if you're working in web stuff and someone developed code, or you know, it can apply to like loads of things online. But for some reason in my mind, I think of it as mostly images, but I don't know. Well, like Wikipedia, I said, uses Creative Commons, so
right.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. All right, do you want me to go on?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm so excited to talk about this artist. I found out about her. MTV had reposted an article that the BBC had put out, and it was, I'll put the link in for it, but it was like BBC's projection of the sound for 2015, and they listed, there's like a short list and a long list of artists that they think are going to shape the sound for next year's music and the popular genres and whatnot. Cool. And I checked out, there was 5 on the short list, I think, and I listened to all of them, but one of them really stuck out, and it was this girl named Rae Morris from Blackpool, England. She's 22, so she's just 2 years younger than us, and the song that I heard was one called Under the Shadows. And as soon as I started watching it, I was like instantly intrigued by it, you know. This girl, she's got like hair like you but longer, and like she's probably got the best hair in music, and really like beautiful girl and super talented. She plays the piano, which is refreshing because a lot of singer-songwriters play the guitar and sing, including myself. So to see somebody playing the piano and totally killing it was really neat. So her story is kind of similar to mine, actually. She went to like a music college, an arts and music college, and she didn't start performing until she was in her second year. And right when she graduated, when she was 18, she got assigned to Atlantic Records, which is a huge record label. And just now at 22, I mean, her debut album is coming out January 26th of next year. So she really took some time to figure out who she wants to be and what she wants her sound to be. And I think that really comes across in the music. It's mature sounding, and it sounds like somebody who's been doing it for like 30 years. Like she sounds very comfortable and confident about the music, and I really liked it. It's been a while, I mean, since Haim, that I've found a new act that I really like believe in and really am looking forward to hearing more from. So I got really excited when I heard about her. I went on iTunes and I bought, she's got like 3 EPs out and some single tracks on iTunes. I bought an EP called Cold, and it's got 3 original songs, like 3 tracks on it, and then a remix of the song called Cold. And Cold's a really cool song, kind of synthy, but
Cold's a cool song.
Cold's a cool song, but really groovy. Upbeat and kind of club dancey sounding, which is so weird. Like, I never used to listen to this kind of music, and I guess gradually I'm getting into it more. I just like the good vibe, like, and her lyrics too are not typical for a 22-year-old. They're dealing with different subject matter. They're at times kind of dark, very haunting, you know, and I can't help but compare her to Taylor Swift, and it's just like, you know, here's somebody who deserves to be at the top, like, and could be a really good, like, role model, and somebody who's actually talking about things that matter and feelings, you know, like, not hiding behind good feelings all the time. Like, she's not afraid to talk about feeling down in the dumps. And I'm not saying her music's like emo or anything, but she's just being real.
Right.
And I really appreciate that. I'd say her sound is similar to, it's kind of in the same vein as another UK artist, Florence and the Machine. Yeah, people have compared her to Kate Bush too. Kate Bush is someone from like 70s, 80s. Yeah, kind of ethereal. I wrote a bunch of notes. Deep, Deep. Yeah, so she worked with this guy named Ariel Rechtshaid, who actually produced the Haim record, Days Are Gone. So similar sound, not exactly like Haim, but like you can hear where his production is similar. And I mean, that guy's super talented in his own right. Like, I think he's worked with Vampire Weekend too, and I think the only good things for him out of the future. Everything's like perfectly timed. We stopped talking for a second. There's like somebody yelling outside.
Yeah.
You'll appreciate this. She grew up listening to Steely Dan.
Nice.
Yeah, Georgia loves Steely Dan.
I do.
They're great. Her voice is very distinctive, which is another thing that I think will make her really stand out. It's kind of low, and because she has an accent, and sometimes when British people sing, you can't hear their accent. They just sound like an American singer, but you can actually hear there's like a roundness to her words that I think is really cool. Kind of reminds me of the Spice Girls. Yeah, so the album that I mentioned that's coming out January 26th is called Unguarded, and if you go on her YouTube channel, she actually does... Oh, I don't think we're recording anymore.
Oh, what?
Sorry about that. Our camera, I just realized, wasn't recording anymore. So back to what I was saying. If you go on her YouTube channel, she does she talks about the album a little bit, and I don't really know where I was going with that. But anyways, it's really cool just to hear her talk about the album, and you get a sense of how mature she is, and yeah, she seems totally like an old soul, like very... You'd think she'd been doing this forever, like very confident. She kind of sounds like Emma Watson. I really like it when British people say because they say M. I just think it's the coolest thing. I think a lot of things are the coolest thing. But yeah, anyways, I wish I knew where I was going with that before our camera cut out. But yeah, so the song that I'm going to play a clip of this week is the song called Under the Shadows. There was a bunch that cool ones I could have picked, but this one is the one that caught my attention first, so I figured it'd be the best one to put in for you guys. Yeah, I love it. It's got a really cool groove, thought-provoking lyrics I wrote. It's memorable, strong hook, and she kind of moves like Stevie Nicks in the video, which I obviously love. Yeah, so check it out. This is Under the Shadows.
That's where the love lies. Under the shadows. That's where the birds cry. Under the shadows. We're afraid of nothing. No one can hear us. That's where the love lies. Under the shadows.
There you go. I hope you enjoyed that clip of Rae Morris and Under the Shadows. Check out her other videos on YouTube. There's her live videos are awesome. You just get a really good idea of how talented she really is when you watch her live videos. She sounds the exact same, so clearly there was like no major effects on her voice when they recorded. There was one in particular called Don't Go, and it gave me goosebumps. It was just so good. Great lyrics, and I wrote that she's got more emotion in her voice than any other current singer-songwriter, and I really mean that. Like, you just gotta listen to her. She's so good, such a strong voice. Yeah, so to wrap this up, I just wanted to say, to kind of go hand in hand with what the BBC article was about, was my own kind of 2015 music prediction. Because I've been thinking about this for a while now, with everything that's going on in music and kind of the decline of the big machine that was, I think it's going to be a brand new time next year for artists and the music that they're making, as well as the whole business side of it. But I just wanted to focus on the actual music part right now and say that I think we're going to be seeing similar style to what was going on in the early 90s a real connection with people and their lyrics again. You know, in a world where we're disconnected, but we're connected. And with all the music that's coming out now, it's just we're adding to the whole escaping reality thing. Music's always been the one thing that's been able to bring people together, and I think we're going to be seeing people like Rae Morris who are writing about things that actually matter, and through that maybe we'll begin to see again the things that really matter, and it'll be a positive shift. I think there's going to be a lot of female fronted bands coming out, not that there isn't already a lot now, but just more so, like strong female leads. I think there's in other areas of the world, like just women are coming out now, like they're not afraid anymore, and I think that's gonna affect music. And what else did I say? Yeah, just a stronger material. And yeah, just so when I think early 90s, I think of like Sarah McLachlan and Amanda Marshall, both of whom are Canadian, you know, just really strong singer-songwriters. I mean, we've always had that, but I just feel like next year's going to be different in a good way. So really looking forward to 2015 and all the new music that we're in for.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to get into this article I have from The Space News. I talked about The Space before. They do the... you could enter and work towards doing an art project in their sort of online gallery space and get funded to do this project and stuff. They also have another one where they're paired with Wired magazine, and they're doing sort of another digital technology mentorship and funding for projects and stuff. So that's cool, and I'm looking more into that. Maybe do a proposal. We'll see. But anyway, this article is about art and protest, and which I was interested in because I am all about Tumblr. You know that.
Yeah.
And my Tumblr is mostly foxes, feminism, and social justice. And and interior design. Anyway, so I found this interesting. It was just talking about how the internet has changed protest, and art has always been involved in protest since way, way back, you know. But this was just talking about how the internet has changed that. There are a couple really good quotes. Here's one from Tim Hopkins, which is, he's the lead artist on WNO's Occupation Project, which is a music project, actually. It's called Occupation, 5 Songs That Changed the World, and they've invited 5 singer-songwriters to create songs in response to the news stuff. So I haven't looked into what those songs actually are. Like, it's already done.
That's so like 60s, you know, when all the singer-songwriters were writing about like the revolutions and cultural events and happenings. That's cool.
I haven't heard any of them yet, but they, in this article, mention one specifically, which is about what's going on in Ferguson. Apparently it's really beautiful and haunting and interesting.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff.
Yeah. So Tim Hopkins said, the digital realm has allowed people, for the moment at least, to intercept the shape and flow of events, how events are perceived, to insist on their own right to express their views in a new way. So sort of the internet is functioning as intervention in mainstream media. Like, people are insisting, like, no, that's not exactly what happened. This is how things played out and stuff, which is interesting. And it is cool the way well, not cool, but he says for the time being. It's like, so long as the internet remains free, right? Net neutrality is still kind of an issue that is potentially going to make the internet not a free space. But for now, it's going strong, sort of the great equalizer. But because of the internet, like, there are protests getting more views, and protest groups getting more views, like groups like Pussy Riot from Russia, because of the internet became this huge thing, and people are aware and more conscious of that. And then because images can be shared more quickly, it helps protest in that way. There was an interesting sort of interview segment with Catherine Flood, who's the curator of Disobedient Objects exhibition at the Victoria and Albert in London. She said, "You're taking control of the media story I talk and then I get out of breath because I just keep talking, and then I'm trying to read and I screw it up. So, you're taking control of the media story by creating the sort of images that become memes." And she's talking about some specific images. The Eclectic Electric Collective created floating cobblestones. And there's a really great image, I'll maybe insert it here. These floating cobblestones, because cobblestones are sort of the weapon of protesters, like riders.
Yeah.
So they created these giant sort of metal-looking cobblestones. They're big and they're just full of air. Mm-hmm. And there are these really interesting images of there sort of being protesters on one side, police on the other side, and this big floating cube sort of rolling around in the middle, the police being like, how do we interact with this? If you hit it, it just kind of rolls away like a beach ball. Like, so these images are absurd, but they gain traction and end up all over the internet. So it's sort of awareness raising again. And there's another instance where citizens and artists painted riot shields to look like books. So then there are all these images of police like hitting book covers, essentially, that stormed the internet.
Wow.
Yeah. And at the same time, there are sort of anti-internet and tech protest art pieces. Sarah Van Sunbeck created Faraday tent, which is like a metal tent that keeps out all Wi-Fi and cell service and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. So overall, the article concludes that while the internet allows sort of for plurality in protests, like there can be all these different things people are protesting, and the internet gives voices to all of those things, at the same time, it makes protests better and faster and stronger. So overall, the internet is good, and internet art helps.
Yeah. It's crazy to think that the internet hasn't been around that long. Like, I remember living without the internet.
Yeah.
When I was under 10, you know?
Yeah. It's been like 20 years.
Like, what did we do with all that extra time on our hands? I wish I could remember.
Well, we were kids.
Yeah, I know, but like, what about our parents and all like the 20 and 30-year-olds? And
yeah. I think they read a lot.
I don't know. The world is probably like, I mean, I don't want to say way cooler because it's just different. It's not any better or worse. It's just different. But
they made mixtapes.
Yeah. I know. It would be interesting. It's like, it's crazy how it wasn't that long ago, but it was like so different. It was like a whole totally different time period. Like,
yeah. The amount of information that's now available because of the internet
and everything that's changed because of it, for better and for worse.
And use of that information.
Yeah.
Last night I was listening to CBC Radio's Spark podcast, which I think they broadcast on the radio as well, but they were talking to this guy who has created bus systems that use shared data, like they're bus systems that, I'm going to explain this terribly, but like based on where people are, it's sort of a fluid bus system structure. So if you need a bus from work and there's like two other people that are close in the area, it can see those people, send out a thing that's like, meet us at this cross street, and the bus essentially comes to you as opposed to...
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
So, internet, technology.
Yeah, who
the
knows?
world's changing.
Who knows where we'll be in another 20 years?
Oh, gosh. Nobody.
Nothing. I've got nothing.
Mm-hmm.
if you had told me 20 years ago this is what we all have today and stuff, I would have been like, what?
Well, we were kids.
Yeah.
So we'd be like, and then we live on the moon.
We all have floating cars.
Yeah.
But
The
anyways,
Jetsons was supposed to take place in the year 2000.
Yeah, that's crazy. And there were so many old movies like from the 70s and whatnot where it's like, and it's 2020 or it's 2010 and it's like,
Right.
no, that didn't happen at all.
Nope.
Oh, on a happy note, we're gonna go do some Christmas shopping now.
Yeah.
And we'll see you for episode 19.
Yeah.
Can you believe it's been 19 weeks?
Oh, maybe we'll be in Hamilton.
Yeah, we'll probably be filming from my place.
Cool.
That's the plan. So maybe we'll do a cribs.
Yeah.
Podcast cribs. You guys can see inside my new place.
Yeah.
That might have to happen.
Yeah. Okay, let's do that. Meanwhile, they still have no idea what my place looks like.
No. You do see this nice wall though, and George's got really nice bunting behind our heads here. So it adds to the whole podcast, I think. Really ties into our front, like put our sister podcast logo with the bunting.
Yeah. Oh, you're right. I never even thought about that.
I didn't until just now.
Yeah.
Like what? That is so.
How did we not make? Like, I feel like my art school training should have prepared me to make that connection.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. Anyways, all right then.
Yeah. So we will see you next week.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.